Good morning. Well, the snow piled up a little bit on us last night. And I got an email this morning. I've got a FedEx delivery coming down to my seed warehouse at some point today. So I feel like I probably better clean the driveways off a little bit. I'm going to plug in the 7520 so that in an hour or two, it might start a little better. Check it out. It's new equipment day, kind of. It's fancy and shiny though. So this is a Starfire 3000 John Deere GPS receiver, and it is technically not new. We've actually had this one for quite some time. However, it was in pretty rough shape. About, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, this was on the 8430. And I was planting some double crop soybeans when something happened with the planter and a marker came unfolded down on top of the cab of the tractor while I was trying to unfold it. And when it came down on top of the tractor, it hit that GPS receiver, cracked the yellow part, and it was in rough shape. So we ended up with a new one. That's where we got our Starfire 6000 receiver, the one on the end there. And so this one had just been not used because it was unusable to that point. Well, since that time, John Deere has come out with a repair program where you can send in broken receivers and fix them. That didn't exist when this happened a few years ago, so we hadn't really done it. But just this month, the old John Deere GPS receivers, the ITCs, which was the model before the Starfire 3000 that one is, they no longer function for auto steer purposes. Basically, some signals from the satellites have been updated and those receivers aren't capable of using it, something or other like that. So we were in need of another GPS receiver, and since we had this one that was broken and Deere would now fix it for a few $100s, I don't know exactly what, we sent it in and my John Deere dealer just dropped it back off. So that's a good deal. Plus, GPS receivers are about impossible to get right now. If you wanted to buy a new one, new Starfire 6000 from John Deere. In fact, my dealer who was just here said they're not even allowed to sell you just the receiver right now. They're that far backed up. And so, you can't get them, which is why we got our old one fixed, so that we'll have what we need this spring. Okay. We're going to see if our tractor will start and go push some snow. Good deal. This tractor doesn't have any metal spots to mount a camera. Anyway, Dad and I both pushing snow. It goes fairly quick. So we got these driveways at the farm here. Pretty good. I'm going to go down to my seed warehouse. You guys can watch. Well, I was trying to make a time lapse, but there's nowhere to mount my camera in here, and it keeps falling, so I tried to magnet to that thing, but it's not gonna work. Sorry. So I'll show you what I can. I'll call it good. Come on. I am pretty sure the FedEx van drove by while I was scraping, went down to the farm, turned around in the driveway and went back by and left and did not stop and drop off my packages. Par for the course with FedEx. But we'll see if anything shows up today or not. There's a car coming now. I don't think that's them. Well, I did a little bit more around the back of the barns and the farm here and the grain bins. And I think it's good enough. So we're gonna put the tractor back away. UPS came while I was pushing snow. Look what they brought me today, guys. This thing ain't gonna work. I'm not buying it. You're telling me that this little tiny box here with these flimsy clamps and cables is gonna start our tractors? We'll see. I'm not running out to kill something so that I can try it, though. I don't know about this. All right, back to work on our corn planter here. I'm gonna work on these closing wheel frames. Brock is wire wheeling some of them off, and we're gonna keep, doing this. Okay, so we are going to put a little hard surface weld inside of this hole here. That's where that spring wears. So I've got my stuff set up there for that. One of you sent me this fancy protective welding jacket because you think my shirts are too nice to risk working in. They're not, but okay. So I'll wear them. And Brock's using your safety glasses. Thank you. Very much appreciated. So we'll keep working here. I got those done. So we're going to start working on these frames here. I'm going to get the MIG welder out. See if I can do any better with that today. Okay, so if you missed the videos of me doing this on the bean planter, basically we are welding this onto these holes to hold a bearing for the closing wheels. So I'm clamping it on there, and it just says to align it with the front edge and center it as best you can. It's not super critical. So I'll put a couple clamps on to hold it in place. About like that. All right, now, all we have to do is weld it on there. Simple, right? You guys tell me you're supposed to push a wire, not pull it like I do with the stick. So, yeah, here we go. You're in the way. I'm getting a little better at this. Ooh, not pretty. That one's better. Then we flip it over and do the other side here. Gonna take some time. That one's real bad. That one's okay. I'll get better eventually. This is what it is. Anyway, it's lunchtime, so I'm gonna go. Our tires are done. They're mounted, so I need to go pick them up. I got a few other errands to run, get some lunch. We'll be back this afternoon. I have made it back from lunch. Brock seems to have just disappeared, which makes me think maybe he had a call or something while I was gone, because usually he wouldn't just leave something half finished and his coffee sitting there or whatever. So I don't know where he's at, but maybe he'll be back, maybe he won't. No big deal there. All right, let's talk tires, because I got our new ones and they're awesome. Okay, so here's what we've got. So we've got our 4 old tires that we took off that are full of pinholes, and we've got our 4 new tires. They don't look the same, do they? Because they're not. Look at the difference in the width, right? So if I get my tape measure out, this tire is about 10 3/4 wide tread. And it's fairly flat, right? There's not a lot of curve to it. So you get a good wide flat footprint. These are radial tires, not bias ply like these, which means they can be run at lower air pressures so that your tires will squat down. What you want is for this sidewall on the bottom to flex out and make that tire flat on the ground a little bit more. I'll show you in a second what I mean by that. These are the old tires. They are about an 8-inch wide tread, so we're not quite 3 inches wider, and they're a much rounder profile. Now, it doesn't show here because these are completely deflated. There's no air pressure in them. These are fully inflated. I don't know what's in them, but I'm sure there's plenty. So that's exactly what we've got on our corn planter here. I replaced the mainframe tires on this corn planter, which were that same style, same as what's on the wings here, with what we're putting on the bean planter, I think 3 or 4 years ago. They're very wide. In fact, almost wide enough that they don't fit, but they do. There's clearance there. And I run 40 pounds of pressure in these on the center of the planter, which with that style tire, when they were in the center, you had to run 60 pounds of pressure. And you can see how it squats down, and you got contact from here all the way up to there. There's a big flat plate area. Get that sidewall to bulge out a little bit, and it spreads the weight out. It gives you a nice big flat surface. Versus these tires, you can see with them inflated how much of a more round profile there is. It curves up in the center. So you're putting a lot more pressure right on this rib than you are on the sides, and it digs into the ground more. And you don't get to run these lower, so you don't have that big flat plate. There's not nearly as much of that tire on the ground as there is on that one. So that's the advantage to these radial implement tires. Lower compaction, bigger footprint, spreads the weight out more, makes it more even, and it helps reduce the compaction. Now, on the wings of this planter, there's not much out here. There's just not a lot of weight. We don't have that much. And so I'm not quite so worried about it, which is why I haven't replaced those tires, because it's not a big deal here. On our bean planter, we've got twice as many row units, twice as much frame. There's a lot more weight there. And so I'm putting these tires on to help spread that weight out. Now, the main frame tires on that planter are a whole different rim. They're a 22.5-inch tire. You can't put these exact same tires on there, so that's not really an option. But that's why I was on the fence about replacing them even before I knew that they were full of holes, because those are just so much better and will be agronomically a better tire on that planter. So when I found out that they had a bunch of holes in them, it made it an easy decision. So there they are, $900. It cost me $900 for 4 tires. You can't beat that. In my opinion, that's a pretty good deal. It's cheaper than pickup tires. So we've got to mount the hubs back in these rims. We'll check the tire pressures. I got to do a little calculation to figure out how much air we need to run into them, because I don't know exactly how much weight is on the wings, of the planter, and you inflate them based on how much weight you're carrying. So, but what I can do is compare what the book says you're supposed to run for pounds in the old tires, figure out what the load carrying capacity is of these tires at that pressure, and set those ones to match it. So like I said, on here, where I had 60 pounds, those tires only need 40 pounds. So I would assume it's something similar, although these were set at 40 pounds on the wings of that planter. So maybe we can drop them ones down to 30 or something like that, just to help them flex a little bit more and spread out that weight as much as possible. Make sense? I'm not crazy. I'm not just spending money for no reason. I understand that I can fix those tires, and I will fix those tires. The ones that I took off the corn planter are on our nurse tank, that blue tank that we haul around and haul water and fertilizer and stuff, and that I was taking fertilizer up to the irrigation with last year. They're awesome tires for that. They're much better than the 11L15s that come on some of that stuff standard. So the issue is they're a different size. The height is different than some of those, and so you got to make sure they match. But for a wagon where you've got clearance and you can put a little bit bigger tire on, those tires are great, and they will work great in that application where we're not worried about compaction. Here, the new ones are better. Okay, Brock's back. Had to go help somebody, we'll call it. And we were doing a little figuring on these tires and stuff, and we were looking at the width of the tread and how much of that tread is on the ground. And just on this planter, on the example that we have here, those tires have roughly 80 square inches of contact area with the ground, 8 inches wide, and it was about 10 inches long. Those tires were like not quite 12 inches. I think we figured 11 3/4 inches of ground contact length front to back, and the 10 3/4 wide gives you, what was it, 138. So it's over 30% difference, like 50 square inches. That's a lot. That's a huge difference in how much that tire is sitting on the ground to spread the weight out. So, and we figured out how much air needs to be in these ones on the wings of the planter in there to match the weight carrying capability of those tires at 40 psi. We need to have about 25 in those. So we're going to take 15 pounds of air pressure out of our tires, or well, I don't know what they're set at. 67. Yeah, way too high. So we're going to let a bunch of air out of them tires, and we'll get them mounted up there later. Probably, maybe today. I don't know. If it's going to be today, Brock's going to do it. I got welding to do. All right, since I suck at this so much, Brock's decided that he's going to show me how it's done. Good luck, Brock.
Yep.
He's probably doing better than I did.
I don't know about you, but that's better than I think.
Better than I did. That's what he said. That's what he just said. I mean, it's not real
not great.
pretty either, but it is not bad.
This is the first time I've welded in probably 3 years.
No, it's not, because I
Wire
watched you do it a couple of weeks ago with me.
Wire weld.
This phone makes a pretty good welding shield, though. Just don't look around it. All right, I'm gonna let him do the rest. I did half of them. I'm finishing getting them cleaned up and ready to be welded. For the record, I didn't do that bad. That's the last one that I did. That's one that Brock did, so I'm not that bad. But I am quite disappointed in myself for not being able to figure this out a little bit better. This is not that hard. It should not be that hard. And I'm not picking it up very fast, so what are you gonna do? Can't be good at everything, right? Well, Brock did a few and then gave up. Not as easy as he thought, is it, Brock?
No.
Yeah. And I'm getting better. Look at that one. Look at that weld. Yeah. That one's almost decent. So I got one more to do, and then we get to stick weld our hard surface into those holes on them. Spring clips there, whatever you want to call them. Those are done. Those are not so bad. Brock's getting our stuff all painted up, and we'll have to let them hang there overnight, but that means over the weekend for them to dry. We'll put them back together on Monday. All right, guys, time for me to go home. It's Friday night, and it's getting late. So thanks for watching this week. Tomorrow, like I said yesterday, there's an auction that a local farmer is having. He retired here a year ago, and having an equipment auction, so I'm going to go to that. We may or may not be interested in buying some stuff. Depends on what condition some stuff is in and what it sells for. But I'm going to try and take you guys along for the ride. I don't know how well that's going to work. We'll see when we get there. So there may or may not be a video tomorrow. If it's not very much footage, I'll just roll it in with Mondays. So we'll see. But if you have any questions, comments, leave them down below. Hit that like button. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, please. Subscribing is free, doesn't cost you anything. And if you hit the little notification bell, you'll get to see when I post new videos. So, yeah, have a great weekend. See you guys later.